Okay, so almost the last thing I want to show you today, since we are running out of time, is what can we do with all this tagging and all this setup that we have done when we do exporting. So I'm gonna select my sequence and I'm gonna go into right click and export. This will bring us to the export panel. I'm not gonna cover it all today because obviously we don't have that much time, but the main things here is because I have tagged the shots and I have done a few things here, I'll be able to do quite a few things automatically. For example, if I wanted to send the animation reference for the animators, I'll be able to use this by not having to go and select the specific shots. On a small show like this one is not much of an issue, but on a bigger show and selecting a lot of shots randomly is quite difficult. So here I can actually use my tagging as a filter to do my export. So I can decide that only the shots that are going to animation are going to be the ones exported, or the shots that go to animation plus the shots for camera tracking minus any shots that go into rotoscoping. So I can filter very quickly what I want to do with my exporting. Now we have also renamed the shots the same way. That's going to become really useful is when we do Nuke scripts, or when we are going to actually export the shots for the Nuke compositors and we want to combine the shots to include things. So I can go into my content tab of that Nuke script and make sure I have collect shots by name. This will collect any shot that has the same name into the single Nuke script. You can use that, or you can use the timing one as well if you decide that it's anything that goes in the time of that clip. You can even use the combination of the two. I like using the collection of names most of the time. Okay, the last thing I want to show you, because we literally run out of time, is we normally don't work in a single project at a time. Right, so at the moment I'm working on this one, which is the City Alley commercial, but I could be probably working on another commercial that is starting, or that I'm starting to online, or this one is the one that's starting and I'm finishing the other job, just kind of at the tail of it. So you can have multiple projects open in Nuke Studio as well, so I can go and say File, Open Recent, and let's say I'm gonna open these music videos that I was working on before, and that'll open my project. So bear in mind that so I can jump between the two projects, but I cannot move data between the two projects. But it's a nice way of just to understand how you can have both of them. And the very last thing that I wanted to show you here is something that I mentioned at the beginning. That was the power of having the different workspaces in Studio, and how having multiple timelines and multiple viewers was very useful when working on different shows. So in this case, I was working on these music videos where there is about 5 music videos and they all have very similar setups, with her singing on a concert hall. And so one of the main things I wanted to do through this was making sure that all the shots of her that were from the same angles and things were looking the same. So one thing that I did is create my own workspaces to do that. One was a compare mode where I was able to load into each one of these stages the different sequences. So I could actually load one sequence here and I'll be able to move that. Let's actually move that viewer there. And that way I can actually work with my different sequences and kind of check, let's say I even want to compare that other show for some reason. Let's say this was an ad from before that was reference to it. But the nice thing is I can find the different shots here, find the different shot there, make sure it's the same. If they are on the same project, I can copy the same thing. So if I have made a change in here, let's say I decided to add another grade in there and do something to it somehow, then I'll be able to just copy and paste that fix or those two grades from there and bring them into this side of the timeline. And now I'm gonna paste them on here. Now she's getting the double grade. I just don't need that one at the bottom. And now I have the whole thing. So this is kind of a nice thing. In this case, again, I'm using it for reviewing, so I could do reviewing of different projects, versions of a commercial that I have done the year before, this year and the next year, so on. Or I even have, for example, the graded one, which I use for this show, which was quite nice to use because I could go around, see all my vector scope, histograms, everything, and at the same time have my properties here ready to start working with my lift, gain, gamma, and start moving my shots and having a good image. And this is a feature that I have found that a lot of people don't know about, which is the pixel analyzer. It's a very powerful tool. If you obviously pick a color by control and clicking, it will give you all the values of that pixel, but you can also put it as a full frame, and now I have all the values throughout my full frame. This is quite good for using black and white points and matching my shots.